Lucky number 7! Now, you might think that Tour Guide doesn't really deserve a place in the top 12. And it's arguably not as good as the cards that I've mentioned, like Chain, Northern, Astrograph, Broad Bull. And it's not as good as a lot of cards that are out right now due to the power creep. But hear me out. So this is a top 12 of cards that had the most impact over the decade. Now, Tour Guide might not be the best card of the decade. However, its impact on the game is unquestionably amazing. When it first came out, very early, 2010, maybe 2011 time, it was a card that was okay. Like, you remember that it was not very expensive. Its pretty much main function was to summon Sangan in plant format before XYZs came along, but it was still quite good. It could give you like a good, decent 1-for-1 summon. It can summon itself as well. It's what people were doing just to generate tempo. Then XYZs came onto the scene, and it became one of the most mental cards of its era, where it was splashed in everything. You could play it in wind-ups, where it just summons them 90 because it was generic. You can play it in Rescue Rabbit, because you can play Leviair and bring back Rabbit. It was a card that was splashed in everything, and it was a card that just was one of the best in its time, and that's why it's so high on the list. I thought it might have been potentially higher, but we'll get to the rest in a second. Like, this card is just so good, and it's still being played to this day. Come 2014, when Burning Abyss came out, it was back on the scene. It was played at 3, and it just summoned Dante, and it generated tempo because it can summon Skarm or Graph or Seer. And it's been on and off the ban list so much that you've got to appreciate a card that comes on and off the ban list, because it was a card that was so good. It went from 2 to 1, and then it came back to 3 because they thought it was safe to do so, and then it's back to 1 again because the card's just so good. The card you even still see him playing now, like not from like a top point like super meta perspective, because it's at 1. But you still get Burning Abyss decks that are doing like degenerate combos, which Tour Guide's still the heart and soul of, or at least being played as a generic extender. The card's just mental. And like, being able to do something simple as special summon at level 3, back in its time was just such an unheard of thing, being able to special summon from the deck. And being able to do something back then generated so much tempo. And even now that the game's gotten so much faster, it's still really, really strong. And is like a 1-card Link 2, 1-card Cherubini. It does a lot of stuff. It's really, really good. And that's why it deserves to be number 7. Number 7? I can't do it with 2 hands. Number 7. On my top 12 list. So that's Tour Guide of the Underworld. Still mental. Probably going to stick around for another decade, to be honest, because the card's so generic and good. And that's number 7. Cheers, guys. See you for number 6.